murder, which was the top charge, in a case that really rocked this entire region. This was a case of a mother who was also a grandmother who was senselessly killed by her daughter, her own daughter. And in court this week, you heard testimony from Candace Craig's own daughters, who in two cases she had accused of being responsible for this crime. Words cannot express how devastated I was when I heard about this case, how angry I was, how committed my office was to getting justice. And as with any case, it is not easy. There was a tremendous amount of evidence in this case. It took a lot to put everything together. I want to thank the Prince George's County Police Department for their hard work. Detective Taylor was the lead detective. He did a masterful job of collecting evidence and ensuring that we had what we needed to get justice. I also want to thank my ASAs who handled this case. Shauna Coleman, who is in our homicide unit, who you'll hear from shortly, as well as Julia Hall, who is a member of our special victims unit. This case was really a case that crossed unit lines, right? We're talking about a homicide, but a homicide committed by a family member. And so we consider Miss Craig a special victim who was killed by her own daughter. Killed, dismembered, her body burned, her body grilled. It was insulting for this 71-year-old woman who was a hard-working woman, collecting Social Security, collecting a pension. She was someone who worked hard all her life. She was providing for her grown daughter who was living with her grandchildren, and she even allowed her daughter's boyfriend to live in the home. So this is a giving, caring, loving, compassionate, and understanding woman who was killed, who was asphyxiated by her daughter. And make no mistake, Miss Candace Craig absolutely committed this crime, and she is now being held accountable. I also want to thank the family of Margaret Craig. It was tough to sit through 8 days of trial testimony. It was tough to look at the graphic photos of grilled body parts. It was difficult, I think, for them to even imagine how devastating it was for the daughters of Candace Craig to be asked to be a part of the cover-up, knowing that this was done for financial purposes. It's disgusting. It's horrible. We look forward to the sentencing. We look forward to asking for the appropriate punishment at sentencing, and we hope that justice will continue to be in the favor of Miss Margaret Craig and her surviving family members who were innocent in all of this and came to court every single day to just be there to support her and her memory. Again, I have an excellent team of attorneys as well as victim witness coordinators who work hard every day on cases like this. Although we don't have many cases of this nature, but cases where individuals lose their loved ones, and our job is to get justice. And so I want to thank Shauna. She did a masterful job today in her closing, but also in the entire presentation of the trial, along with Julia Hall. They're the best of the best. We have some great prosecutors here in the state's attorney's office. I want them to say a few words.
Did the daughter show any remorse or regret?
She'll answer questions here shortly.
Okay.
She'll answer questions shortly.
I would like for them to speak briefly. No problem. The family did decline to come out today, and I know that we always want to hear from the family, but sometimes they just need to take it all in. So, Shauna?
Step up to the mic and then identify yourself.
So my name is Shauna Coleman, and I want to say I got onto this case after it started with ASA Jessica Garth, who's the chief of the Special Victims Unit. And I really wanted to be on this case with her because I recently lost my mom, and somehow this case just felt very powerful and personal for me, because going through this, I was able to sort of really think about my mom and how I felt, and it really hit home, that bond between a mother and daughter, and it really guided the way I felt this case needed to be shown to the jury, because I think a lot of us can resonate with that. And to understand how Candace Craig could not only do this to her own mother, but then to accuse her own children of murder, exposing them to potential life in prison, it just, really connecting with my mom and my mom's passing helped me present this case in a way I think that really resonated with everybody, because we all have moms. And so I think that we could all feel that sense of why and how, that just went unanswered.
Hi, I'm Julia Hall, another Assistant State's Attorney. I'm in the Special Victims and Family Violence Unit here. I had the honor of joining this case after our chief, Jessica Garth, is on leave currently, so I stepped in late to assist Shauna in the trial. I think we would be remiss if we did not thank the University of Maryland, the Robert H. Smith School of Business Justice for Fraud Victims. That's with Samuel Handwerger. The accounting work that they did, they worked with law enforcement, with our office, to put together part of the financial investigation that I think really brought it home for the jurors and helped us prove that premeditation factor that was essential here. So we'd like to thank Mr. Handwerger and his students for all of their work, which was truly essential, and just again to the police department, did a fantastic job on this. There were about over 600 state's exhibits that were at least marked as evidence, which is a massive number. And so it was a tremendous effort by many individuals to get this done. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. We are happy to take questions.
Did the daughter show any remorse?
I did not see that. I did not see Ms. Craig show any remorse at all during this trial. Now, my vantage point was from behind, so I'll ask if did you all see any emotion?
I didn't hear.
Can you step to the? I'm sorry.
I didn't hear any emotion. I was focused on the jurors themselves, who you could tell really felt this case very deeply, and that the decision that they made really, they felt it in their hearts, because many of the jurors were crying. And so I was focused on them more so than Ms. Craig.
But no physical, like change in facial.
I wasn't looking at her. I didn't hear her.
You mentioned during closing, especially I think the state's attorney, about just the fact that the defense, they were saying it's like a whodunit type of case. What are your thoughts on that? I know state's attorney, you emphasized that it was in fact Ms. Craig that committed this murder. Do you have any response to those claims that they were saying it was a whodunit and whoever did it is still out there?
So if I had issue with whodunit, I would not be prosecuting the case. And so I firmly believe in the evidence that I saw, both Ms. Craig's response to police when they were in her home, Ms. Craig's response to police when they interviewed her, but then also the response of her children, who I met with on a number of occasions. And I have no doubt that she is responsible. And if there was any doubt, we wouldn't be here.
In every case, it's going to be a whodunit. But in this case, we had the answer, and it was Margaret Craig. And it was Candace Craig. And it was clear that it was Candace Craig because of her actions before, during, and after the incident. And she never really said she didn't do it. wanted to blame others to see if it would stick. She tried to blame one daughter who, as Shauna pointed out, was severely disabled. Severely disabled. And then when that didn't work out, then she wanted to blame her other daughter, who was just 19, just starting her life. It is so sad. It is so sad what's happened to these girls. So it was horrific what happened to their grandmother. But if you have to live with this, you have 3 young girls who now know that their mother killed their grandmother, dismembered her body, tried to set her on fire, and then tried to blame them. I can't even imagine the therapy, the support, everything that they're going to need in order to grow into strong young women. This is almost unbelievable. It's almost unbelievable, but it happened. It happened.
It almost sounds like the daughter herself needed some serious help before all this even happened.
Well, let me just say this. Her actions seemed very intentional. She was absolutely taking money from her mother. She was using her young daughter, her 14-year-old, I believe, to call a bank, to ask for them to send, money or to send debit cards. So she took a lot of steps that were pretty rational for someone who wants to commit the act of fraud and identity theft. So on the one hand, you can't imagine any sane person killing and dismembering their parents. But on the other hand, how do you reconcile that with the fact that she took very deliberate, specific steps and in deciding how she wanted to go about grilling her mother using seasoning to mask the smell? So these are very deliberate steps that she took. So if she has some insanity, it certainly isn't something that impacts all of her other thinking. So I just want to point that out.
What's the recommendation for sentencing now? What are you all recommending?
Well, I think you can only imagine what we'll recommend, but what I'll say now is that the guidelines are obviously life. We will review the pre-sentencing investigation when that comes to us from the courts, and we will make an appropriate recommendation at that time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Has sentencing been scheduled?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, we'll let you know when the sentencing is scheduled.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all.